Hello, my name is Carlson Go, and this is my 504 Career Counseling Masters in Counseling. Individual assignment, Section 3, Data Analysis and Recommendations for a Client. Today, we'll be looking at a very interesting client. His name is Carlson Go, and we'll be taking a look at his personalities, his histories, as well as his propinquities and his passions towards the world of work. And well, there's a lot to say, so let's just get right into it. Click, there we go. First is the intake and social and vocational history of this particular client. It seems from the questions themselves that the way he was brought up has shaped how he sees work. From the lines, the first and second question, in the vocational intake, he talks about how he sees work as a pathway to satisfy multiple axioms of his life, mainly the competency, passion, as well as survival, as you can see from the first question. This is an interesting take on his perspective of work because both his father and his elder sister actually has apparently shaped the way he sees work, which is something that is monotonous and menial. So initially, perhaps he's had this perception that work is something you do because you had to, not because you liked it. You will never like work. It's only just to keep yourself alive. So yeah, that's as question 2 has very obviously pointed that out. Now, 2 and 3 technically. So his going forward, his values actually as may have provided a buffer to how he sees work, as you can see in question 4, where apparently self-care is his primary value. And that could be a reason as to why he has the perceptions that he has now, that it is work as a pathway towards multiple aspects and not just the financial and the economical aspect for him. He believes that his overall well-being takes precedence over just working to survive, as the number 4 and 5 has spoken about a little bit. You can go ahead and pause the video if you'd like to read a little bit into it. For now, it's just a cursory examination of what his perceptions and his values are. And his personal values also sort of shape how he sees work and how he conducts himself at work, where he wishes that being kind, optimistic, and compassionate are the values he wishes to tout in life in general, and he doesn't see that there's a big difference between this and it being in work. So yeah, that is the first few questions. Now, the trajectory that he's embarking upon in terms of his passion and vocation, according to the question 6 onwards, is that he has had a lot of experience in the past with emotion and trauma, perhaps a lot of first-hand experience, as he's always been someone apparently that has felt things very deeply, and therefore he has become intrigued with this realm of mental health. And it being in therapy for a few years, I believe, apparently also has shaped piqued his interest, shall we say. And having been in therapy for some time, the concept seems to jive very well with him, and he has taken quite an interest in the subject as he's come back from Singapore and has continued studying his master's after about a year after he graduated. Speaking of his personal values, from number 7 to from question 7 to question 10, it's very much apparent that the task of looking for a job for number 8 was daunting, and going to Singapore was a step that he stepped into, that he proactively embarked upon, and that also told him a little bit about how he saw work, what was important to him, as well as what he truly wished to work as. And as evident by question 10, it seems that he's always wondered what a job is to him, what kind of job he'd be working as. It doesn't really seem to have a concrete idea yet. Right now, however, it seems that he's taking concrete steps towards what he believes is to be the best path, the best step for him in terms of satisfying all of his needs and wants, which is competency, passion, as well as vocation. Of course, emolument and survival as well, and being in a state where it agrees with his values and his virtues. So yeah, in short, that is what the vocation of the social intake social, intake, and vocation is the 10 questions. Now, let's take a look at the genogram very quickly. Let me just zoom in a little bit. There we go. There we go. Okay. So from the genogram, there's a lot. He wrote quite a bit. So let's just condense it. Let's just take the important parts. What he seems, the people that seem to have influenced the most about how he sees work is his father, his elder sister, and his therapist. So these three, his father, his elder sister, and his therapist. Like we said, his father and his elder sister has informed him of how work should be, which is something you do not because you like it, but because you have to do it. And therefore, like I said, the perception may have been a little skewed over time. And while the relationships with his father and his elder sister has been strained before, it no longer is now. And I think that's why he included the lines that he did, because it was strained, but now it's all right. So, it's fine. And as his therapist for about 3 years at this point, Wenfang seems to have awakened a passion in him where in terms of emotion, as someone who's really into emotion, always very emotionally sensitive, he is someone, after going through therapy, started thinking about, oh, I could actually do this. This is something that I feel like I would, number one, be good at, number two, enjoy. And so he seems to have a very deep curiosity in that area. So yes, and in short, this is the genogram. Let me just move back up. There we go. Moving on to the personalities. After taking a look at his personality and his history and his perspective, taking a look now at the Cash 2 and the LPI results of his personality. Now, both of these results sort of complement each other in terms of how he is as a person. So let's go through it very quickly. For the Cash 2, he seems to be an artistic person. Now, what that means is he prioritizes creative expression and he favors liberty over structure. And it's something very deep to him because it's one of the highest ones, 31. And the next one will be sociability, where he seems to enjoy very much dealing with people, interacting with people around him as well as himself, and following very closely behind with a score of 30. So these two seem to be very ingrained in him. It's a part of who he is. And now going forward, he's also someone apparently that thinks very deeply about things, a very investigative, sort of delves into the machinations of things. How did this happen? Where did this happen? Who, how, why, all of that. And although this does fall a little behind the both artistic and sociability aspects with a 21, it seems to be important enough to him that the tests seem to put some emphasis on that as well. Now, if we put all of that together, the LPI, Leonard Personality Inventory, talks a lot about this as well. Now, this is what he took down in one of the classes where the test was taking place. So just very quickly, we'll go through this as well. The highest for, undoubtedly the highest percentage, score of the LPI is the relational peacock. And we can see that this supports the proposition that he is very much a dreamer and a sociable troubadour, as the Cash 2, as well as his genogram and the social intake has talked about. He's someone that really enjoys dreaming, thinking, feeling with other people, in other people, and especially in himself. Right? And so with neutral dove not far behind with a 19, this also matches with the fact that he seemed to flourish in a social environment. Very much in the Cash 2, his second was also sociability. So the neutral dove is also very much in line with what they have found. Interacting with people seems to agree with him, if not flourishes him more than being alone would. Now, the evidence of that would be his bubbly spirit, as well as willingness to engage with people around him without hesitation. And for right behind that, also the dove was a 19, and right behind that, the swan is an 18, where there's something to be said about novelty, innovation, and pliability in the way he thinks. Very much someone who innovates. The creativity part of him emerges when it comes to thinking about anything. When it comes to studying, when it comes to talking to people, when it comes to group projects, individual projects, all of that seems to very much agree with him as an openness swan. So, in summary, it's almost done. Now comes the data. The data analysis has concluded. Now very much into the recommendation part. In summary, Carlson seems to be someone who is artistic, sociable, and investigative. He works very well with others and thinks deeply about the things that he chooses to concentrate upon. A free spirit, the concept of work for him is one that serves multiple purposes: the competency, passion, and survival. And the recommendation so far that I would provide for him would be to continue along this path as it seems to agree with him. It is a very commendable aspect, and it is something that he has taken steps, huge steps, to embark upon, to delve, to really immerse himself in. Going to Singapore and coming back has been an informative journey, and so to fully immerse himself in the experience, as he is someone that very much covets experience, would no doubt yield a lot of insights as to whether or not this is something that he would be comfortable with doing. Ultimately, my recommendation to him would be some concrete steps would be looking into some organizations, perhaps, on mental health, applying what he learns to real life with himself, with other people, and just to enjoy this path that he has chosen for himself. Because for him, that's what's important, to experience and to enjoy. Thank you very much for listening.